We good? Sorry. It's all right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Snelling. Ferris. Here. Behrens. Keating.
Present.
Bikeman.
Present.
Crom. Schrader.
Here.
Baraki.
Present.
5.
Thank you.
Quorum.
Thank you. First, we have the approval of minutes from the December 11th meeting.
If you approve regular minute meetings from December 11th.
I just have a question
Yes.
about that. Jeff was voted in as president. Does that not go in there? Or as our council president? I didn't see it in there. So.
Yes, it would be, should be in there.
It does not appear to be in there. Okay.
Yep, we're allowed to.
Keith, would you like to amend your motion?
I amend the motion and approve regular minutes from December 11th meeting, including Jeff Keating as the council president.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the December 11th meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Now we have public comments. If anyone from the public is here to speak on anything that's not on the agenda. Okay, moving on, we have business and discussion items. First is the preservation agreement for the post office block building. Also, before we move forward with that, I would like to add a fifth item to the business and discussion items, which is discussion regarding an interested party for some prospective development on the Kester block. But we'll put that as the fifth, if that works okay? Yep. Okay.
I make a motion to amend the agenda based on the request by the mayor.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now to item 1 on the business and discussion items. The preservation agreement for the post office block building. My understanding here is that we need to basically formally sign this agreement. What's the council's pleasure on this?
What exactly does this cover, I guess? That's where I was a little lost on this whole thing.
Just
I think the most important part of this, in addition to, well, as far as what you're agreeing to in return for the money, is the conservation agreement, as in conserving, it's a conservation easement agreement, and it covers what are considered to be the character-defining exterior spaces and features of the building. You'll find that in Exhibit B. That's the last page, I think, in that agreement. Covers the Italianate rated block, 7 arched bays on the main level with segmented arched windows, brackets at the cornices, stone accents and keystones above the window openings, 3 bay windows on east elevation, flat roof with parapet. And significantly, I know there's been some question about whether that would restrict future disposition of that building. It would not, other than for the fact that that conservation easement would transfer with the deed should the city ever elect to sell the property. And thinking about that, the likelihood that any subsequent owner of that would be historic preservation minded, particularly if they wanted to access state or federal credits. In all likelihood, they would want to preserve those features, so it would likely not be a limitation to marketing of that building in the future, or ownership, whether it's ours or someone else's.
And it expires in 5 years.
Move to approve the agreement.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and approved to approve the agreement on the preservation of the post office block building and authorize me to sign. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the proposal for the great rates for sanitary sewer and water rate analysis. Jeff, I don't know if you'd like to speak a little to this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We spoke last meeting about the possibility of having our sewer rates analyzed for the first time, I guess, we weren't able to document the last time this was actually done, at least to this length. And we found that to be true for both the sanitary sewer and the water rates, although both have been adjusted in recent years. Recent meaning a number of years ago. I should clarify with the most recent modifications. It's in my memo here. To each being 7 or 8 years ago. So the question is not just whether the rate structure is current or appropriate, but what the adequacy of the rate structure is in terms of the revenue that it generates, given the needs really of both systems. And that would be part of the analysis, is to prepare a projection of capital needs for either or both of those utilities 10 years into the future, so that that could be inserted into the rate modeling to make sure that the rates that were recommended, with whatever level of adjustment, if any there would be, would ensure that there would be adequate funding generated for capital maintenance and capital improvement. I've alluded in the past several times to the financial condition of the sanitary sewer utility, and pointed out that it appears to us that it has pretty much lost its ability to generate revenues into reserve in any given year. The same is true with the water utility. In fact, the water utility is probably less healthy in that regard. So given the fact that there's some efficiency in doing an analysis for both of the utilities at the same time, and we've solicited interest from a company that is very experienced at both and oftentimes does both concurrently. It just makes a certain amount of sense to do that. The recommendation tonight is to engage Great Rates to do an analysis for both the water and sanitary sewer systems at a combined cost of $14,414. As I mentioned before, depending on the pace at which the information needs for the consultant can be produced by city staff, it would be probably a 5 to 6 month process to complete the analysis and bring a report back to the city council, at which time the city council would be given some recommendations and have the ability to consider the recommendations, make modifications, whatever they would choose at that point in time. I think this is a good company. They've done hundreds of these studies, done a number of them in Iowa, in Iowa too, but in Kansas, and come well recommended.
And this is you said a 6-month study? Yeah.
It would take about 6 months to put it all together. It's very, very data driven, and the modeling is fairly sophisticated and allows for different scenarios to be plugged in. I did meet with the Water and Sewer Utility Committee and talked about this, and one of the things that, you know, we did visit with about maybe the greatest challenge for the city in this, in addition to a lot of information retrieval through the utility billing system, would be, as I mentioned earlier, to formulate some capital improvement project plan projections. Well, that's a lot of P's, isn't it? For both utilities, so that some numbers can be plugged into the study associated with what the expected expenditures are going to need to be or would like to be, depending on how much revenue can be generated. I think there's some information as far as some project needs that are out there now that have some level of identification. Some notions out there that maybe need to research a little bit more. And then there may be, absent a formal analysis beyond what sort of our internal capabilities are, there may need to be some sort of projection put in there for a fixed number or a marker for sort of the unknown but the likely kind of thing, whatever, if you know what I'm saying there. I'm sure that can all be done. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it. And, you know, I would think that 6 months would be a reasonable amount of time for everything to be put together and the report to be returned.
I think kind of a key to this is that it helps us be educated with some of our decision making and make sure we're effectively and efficiently and transparently spending out of these funds for projects. And you know, we're not doing it willy-nilly or by hunches, but we're doing it with a data-driven approach. So,
And it's given rates that are proven to those facts and not just
right.
bringing rates out of nowhere.
Right.
The last time that, when the water rate adjustment took place way back in, I think, 2010, the first one, something like that, in 26 and 27 each, there were studies conducted about facility needs in the water utility by separate entities. So a lot of information was generated to plug into that sort of CIP projection. A lot of those projects were done. One of them was the last water tower I know was probably the biggest single project in there. And I suspect that this time around in the water, it be different sort of things than that, obviously. I think, just to speculate briefly on the sanitary sewer, with all the work the city has done in recent years and is in the process of doing, I think you can be fairly comfortable in expecting that the capital maintenance or improvement needs of that utility, while there'll be some amount there, it's benefited obviously by the work that's been done in the last few years, for sure.
So, what is the council's thoughts on pursuing this analysis?
Is it important as well to find another revenue stream or improve the stream that we have so we're not relying on sales tax all the time for certain projects? I don't know.
That's also, part of the consideration is that although you can spend sales tax money on some of these projects, and we have by, necessity, it's not the most ideal way to channel it and kind of organize it, keep track of where the funds are coming from and how they're allocated. This would be a step in the right direction to that, as well as the, separation potentially of stormwater funding and expenditures out of the sanitary. It's again one of those, what we have been doing isn't wrong, but it's not ideal. So this would be a step in that direction as well.
And that will be an option that the council will have, because currently, although it's not documented within the sanitary sewer financial projections, what is needed for storm sewer, the practice has been to draw upon the financial reserves of the sanitary sewer for stormwater expenditures. And that's been on a as needed rather than a planned basis. I think that'd be fair to say for the most part. So this study will also present the opportunity to separate the stormwater out, which will give the city the ability to manage it as its own system, which is a trend out there these days. So that's a good thing to have that option, at least to look at.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal by Getting Great Rates for sanitary sewer and water analysis in the amount of $14,414.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we move forward with the analysis on the water and sanitary sewer utilities. Any further discussion?
On service package 3, how many per visits do you see them making?
Well, I certainly think you'd want one when it's ready to present to you. That's a decision you don't have to make tonight. You know what it would cost because that was included in there. But I would certainly recommend that you have at least one face-to-face, for
3
sure.
in a year?
When the report's ready to be presented.
Any other discussion? Move to approve? I'm sorry, not move to approve. Call for the vote. All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Second?
Old habits. Opposed?
Old habits.
Old habits.
Sorry, Jiminy Christmas, I swear, everyone. All right, opposed, same sign? All right, motion carries. Sorry about that. All right, the next item on the agenda is the North Central Regional Planning Commission Kansas Water Projects Grant. Would you like to speak to this, Jeff?
Certainly. I mentioned last week that we'd recently been made aware of a new grant that has come about from an appropriation by the legislature last year, a grant administered by the Kansas Water Projects Office. And I mentioned that we were of the understanding that the grant could be applied for projects that were in process. That's been confirmed, and we have engaged the North Central Regional Planning Commission to submit an application on behalf of the city for this grant. The application deadline is December 29th. As I mentioned, it came up pretty quick. Fortunately, our grant administrator, although she's in Africa, was able to find the time to prepare this. One change, and it's to the good, at least prospectively, up until a day or two ago, I guess, up until today, because we weren't back in the office till today, but I believe it was yesterday that the grant administrator informed us that, in fact, the $1 million cap on grant requests had been increased. So instead of applying for $1 million, or what the agreement in the packet is silent on the amount, I believe, because I don't believe we knew at the time this was sent out what it would actually be. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but at the time this did go out, we were of the understanding that there was a $1 million limit on what we could apply for. A couple of changes to that have come about, but as of right now, the amount that is recommended that we apply for by our consultant is $1.4 million. It's like 1.4, 1.42. Now that's unlikely to be funded at that amount because the total pool here is not that large. I think I said in the memo what it was, 8 or 10 or something like that. So if we're going to get an award, it'll be a reduced amount. I did put the question to the consultant today whether or not she felt confident that partial awards would be made rather than applicants being rejected in total if their ask exceeded what was available, which undoubtedly, there'll be a lot more applied for statewide than what's available here. But she was quite confident in saying that, that the state will, in all likelihood, award partial grants for grant requests that are, of any size at all. So I think we can be optimistic here, or at least comfortable in the belief that we're not going to get rejected just because we asked for too much. If we're going to get funded, we'll get funded probably at a lesser amount. But at least we are able to show the state what our needs are and what we actually qualify to request. So I think we want to do that in any event. Long-winded, but
I think it's important that we take advantage of any of these opportunities for outside funding, especially on these big expensive projects that are important to our city. But what does council want to do here?
Move to approve the NCRPC Kansas Water Project.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion?
I might just mention again that any award that is made will reduce the amount of borrowing that the city would have to make under the revolving loan fund. And in the event that the total request was funded, which I just made a pretty good case that it won't be. But if it were to be, that would bring our required borrowing down to $100,000 or some very small amount.
Which would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would, but again, not too likely.
Okay, any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
My vote.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have parking concerns with the Sunflower Medical Clinic. Crystal?
Hey
Hello.
guys, so Crystal Lease, Ward 1. So down at Sunflower, we initially opened about 18 months ago, and I had spoke to Austin about possibly getting a handicap parking stall there so we could do the military, the VA interview, or the VA appointments. However, he said that there was enough of those downtown. So we went 18 months without addressing any more parking issues. We sent out letters to the surrounding businesses asking them to allow their staff to not park in our area, just so that way we could get the patients in and out of our clinic. Initially, that was great. Over the last, I'd say, 10 months, it has been a fiasco. I've got geriatric patients that are definitely not in any shape to walk about a block to their appointment. They're having to park behind the wagon wheel or even further. I had a gentleman come in, he had to sit down, was super winded, diaphoretic, couldn't even walk to the exam room for 15 minutes once he got into my clinic. And then I had a gal with a broken foot that had to hobble from behind wagon wheel to be able to get into the clinic. We have people next door that, their staff parks in front of the clinic, or we have the residents, people that will park in there through the whole afternoon. But we just do not, and my patients are in and out within 20 minutes typically. At the evening when we have walk-in hours, there is a backflow at times, but that is better because we have more parking downtown after 5 p.m. when everybody goes home. The problem is from noon to 5, the patients are unable to even get into the appointments. I don't know what other avenues we could take at this point, but it has definitely made it to where we're having a significant problem. We're not a retail shop. We offer medical exams. We see about 100 plus patients through the clinic a week. So kind of open to discussion as to if there's anything that we can do differently. We would like to possibly do 2 20-minute parking stalls. RX does have one. And then over at the post office, there is 2 or 3 stalls, like 20 minutes from the sign down parking. If that would be an option, that would be phenomenal.
How many parking stalls do you feel like you need?
2, that's all I'm asking for.
And you don't have a handicap stall?
No, we
currently?
do not. We were not granted that.
My only concern with the handicap stall might be that it would get filled by people going down the block.
Correct.
And almost be counterproductive.
Right.
Right.
And after being open for 18 months, we have realized that. And, from 12 to 12:30, it's full, and that's okay, because that's the older population going down to the Hovering to eat lunch. Once they clear out, then everybody comes back from lunch, and all those are full until 5 o'clock. It's been kind of rough. But if we could do the 2 20-minute, my patients would be filling those nonstop, because they run in, they're seen, and they run out.
Do you know when the 20-minute at RX would have been put in place?
15 minutes?
Or 15.
I think 15 is what the
Yeah, it's
minutes are
15.
there, and the post office. I do not, we kind of looked in, there's not ordinances on it, I couldn't find resolutions on it.
Really?
And so I'm just not quite sure how they happened. I would assume it would have to be a resolution, that's how we have to do one-way streets and all those things. I don't, and John, do you have any idea? I don't know.
That's what I was wanting,
couldn't
want
find
some
it.
Who's the
input
next
here.
person I was gonna ask, yeah.
To enforce do a ticket, you're gonna need an ordinance.
Well, okay, and
Or-
I don't know that there's ever been a ticker written on it, on those.
I've never seen a ticket like that.
No, I haven't either.
It's probably as much signaling, I would hope, as anything, that people would realize that that's
Right, I mean, I
special.
don't know that it's enforceable, but.
Can we put signs, the 2 signs, handicap parking reserved for Sunflower Medical Clinic?
I think what they want is 15 minutes, and that would certainly keep people moving at least.
Yeah, I would
Whether or not
think
you
that's
issue a
fine.
ticket or not,
Bear in mind, the handicap sign requires 2 stalls, so you'd take 4 stalls to create 2 spots.
Could you
And a
put that 15-minute sign that had a time frame on it? And after a certain time frame?
Oh, from
Yeah.
noon to 5?
I'm sure those exist. yeah.
Or,
I'm
We can
not
make
sure
them
that the one
however
at the
you want
post
it.
office might have a time window.
Noon to 5 would be great, because like I said, after 5, there's a lot of parking downtown. But it's noon to 5, that's a major issue.
And in the evenings, if it's people walking to eat dinner or whatever,
Right.
it's not really a concern.
But yeah, they don't park on the side roads, they park on the main
On
road.
Broadway.
I mean, it's a medical establishment, it's not like a stop and shop, window shopping thing. I think it is probably a good idea to help the community get the healthcare they need without having to walk 3 blocks with a broken foot or something to that nature.
I think 15 minutes might be a little short. I think
Right.
maybe 20 is more appropriate. People are gonna go over 20.
Yeah.
But if it's 15 and they're there 45,
And you'd hope people would just honor it, but I do
Yeah.
feel like this is something with an ordinance, might be appropriate, or a resolution might be appropriate, but
So if I
council's,
can say, behind our building, we have 2 stalls that are parking, and we have put, no parking, Sunflower Medical Clinic, people do not care. They continue to park there. So there's many times that we can't even park in our own stalls, so just keep that in mind. I mean, if there's not an ordinance, they're not going to
it's
care.
not teeth. Yeah.
If we don't have a way to help them figure out that it's a issue.
Right.
Would you rather have the noon to 5?
If we had a noon to 5, that would be phenomenal.
I don't think that's asking too much. I mean, it's a
Not for 2
limited
stalls,
window, still giving options for everybody from noon to 5. Other than that, they can still park there.
Yeah, because that would still allow the residents to park wherever they want to, at night when I have more stalls.
I think
You've
it's something
opened up
John
that
oughta
driveway for parking
look
now,
into
haven't
it.
you?
You mean like along the building? Well, I've had patients park behind the building because they couldn't.
No, in front, wasn't there a stall that was like a
Yes.
driveway, but you've opened that up for parking too, right?
Yeah,
Because that used to be no parking.
Right.
And they paid attention to that,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, down there they don't
Yeah.
care much.
So Jeff, what you're saying is, in regards to this, or in regards to all the different timed parking limitations?
I'm gonna just take one case by case, and I think if John agrees that maybe we could do 2 stalls at 20 minutes, I don't know, what do you think of the legalities of that compared to other property owners?
Streets are entirely within jurisdiction of the city, so if they want to impose that restriction, I think it'd be legal and lawful. And there's a rational basis for it, so I don't see any problem. You'll have to, it may take a time or 2 enforcing it, issue a ticket or so, but that's no problem.
And I mean, I would think this wouldn't set a broad precedence, given that it is a medical clinic, and that, the only other well, maybe a dentist or an eye doctor. I don't know who else, where the limit would be, but those are gonna be a little bit different scenario than this.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe DME.
What was that, Cindy?
I said maybe DME. There are a lot of handicap go in there to
Yeah.
get stuff.
We certainly could draft the ordinance, bring it back next meeting or next 2 meetings, whatever you want.
wanna make a motion, or do you wanna do it by consensus to draft it?
Draft it, that you can bring it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll put a little penalty provision in there, and
Okay.
so it'll be enforceable.
all right.
An ordinance from 12 to 5 for 20 minutes for 2 stalls.
But this will be
I- I
just
read
kind of a, this will be kind of a, let's see what John comes up with, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of the direction to go in and bring
I'll
back.
try to appease what she recommends, and so we'll put it together, and you'd always change it when it's on the table.
Tweak it,
Yeah.
okay. Will that be okay?
That would be great.
Okay,
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, and now to number 5 in the business and discussion, the item that was added. An interested developer has come forth, showing, a rudimentary interest in possibly developing, the business part of the Kester block. It's very much, an abstract situation now. This is not a fly-by-night proposal, but something that I think we should explore and kind of, run the city administrator and I. My proposal would be the city administrator and I would keep exploring this, try to flesh it out, get a little more detail, and bring back what that looks like to the council when we have a little more information. Basically, I think we want to make sure we're really transparent with the process, so that everyone knows this is something that's being discussed and worked on. Nothing's carved in stone by any means, but wanted you to be aware. I basically would ask for the council's permission to work with the city administrator and kind of doing more, we'll say negotiating, but information gathering about the concept and the process in order to bring it forward at a later date.
Is the information pretty limited at this time as to?
It
what
is
they
pretty
wanna
limited.
develop
There's
and
no,
things
there's
of
no
that?
formal proposal, just kind of broad strokes ideas of what it might look like, funding mechanisms, et cetera. So it's pretty rudimentary, but it's as a motivated developer, and it's a possibly nearer term opportunity than we might have initially thought. So we thought it would be good to get this out in the public now for your knowledge.
What parts of the Kester block would this?
The business, this would be the business block portion. Basically not the 2 houses at this point, just the storefront section of the building, the west half of the block. A little more. But no decisions will be made, nothing, of course.
It would be the main dish, H&R Block,
Correct. Pony
water
Express.
shop, okay?
Yep, Pony Express Tanning, the salon, and Reflections. So, and the structures above, of course, as well. The potential here would be for possible development of all levels of these buildings, and also removing the city's responsibilities as a landlord. So, there's multiple ways this could be done, and it'll be all explored. But basically, I want to make sure that we have the authority to go ahead and explore this.
Need something formal?
Well, wouldn't hurt my feelings.
I move to approve that the city administrator and mayor move forward with the exploration of potential property development for the Kester block.
Okay?
Make sure we want to say the commercial portion of that.
You want to specify the commercial portion
Commercial portion of the Kester block, sorry. Sorry.
amended? Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, carried. And I'll report back as soon as we have more information on that, so. Okay, I see no notices and
Oh, sorry,
hearings.
John.
Oh, we got a thing here.
We have the consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. We have a presentation of appropriations ordinance 3812.
Move to approve appropriations ordinance number 3812.
Second.
Okay, the appropriations ordinance is moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll
Oh,
call.
roll call.
What?
No.
No, just hang on a second, she'll call you.
I'll call you.
It's all good.
You're looking at me for,
Ferris,
here.
Keating,
Yes.
Bikeman,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Brackey,
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under staff reports, we have the use permitted upon review for 302 Alston.
It's just information. They'll have to have a hearing.
This is,
No, they're done. They're done. Yeah.
this is kind of an update on the situation with the Pepsi down here with their child care efforts, with the assistance of city staff, including interim city administrator. That has been successfully navigated, so I think they're on a good tack now. Definitely appreciate the efforts. It's a identified need of our community, and it's glad to have an organization like Pepsi tackling it. Okay, moving on to standing committee reports. Anybody have anything on street?
No.
Water and wastewater treatment. We could mention that committee did meet, but we pretty much discussed what we discussed regarding the rate analysis, so. Parks and Recreation,
Has the talks or stopped talking about new bathrooms for the city park, or where do we stop on that? And can we move forward with that?
Where we were is we were gonna put it on the Pony Up and see if we could help get donations. If that was, every year they ask us to put something on there, that would be what we would do to see if we could get donations to help us pay. That would dictate how much we could improve them.
I think this would probably
If
be
that's
the
a
time
good
of year to
idea.
do that.
Is it May?
I mean-
May? Remember when Pony Up?
Pony Up,
was?
yeah, somewhere
Because
around there.
Yes,
we've told
May.
them that's what we want.
But I think it's important that the Parks and Rec Committee get together and talk about that and maybe come up with a plan from 1,000 feet up,
yeah.
not just put it on the Pony Up thing and say, hey, we want money for this.
There has been some previous work done as far as.
We have a
this-
plan.
A plan
Yeah.
and some design options, but that could be tweaked, and you can definitely build it in such a way that if you're very successful, you can do all 3 phases or get all your wants, whereas if it doesn't raise quite as much and we don't want to spend the money, we can dial that back. But yeah, I agree. I think the Parks and Rec Committee, that'd be a
Yep.
good point for discussion, so.
As far as Parks and Rec go, I met with the gal doing the historic district downtown, and she was saying that that building in the cemetery used for restores, the old church maybe,
Chapel.
the chapel, that could be added as part of the historic district, and something to think about, because then it would be available for some of that tax money to help maybe restore it, get it going, cleaned up,
Yeah,
something to think about.
I was gonna bring that up underneath cemetery and airport next, but no, all good. No, I think, I talked to Brenda Nelson as well. Her thought was she could do the study of the cemetery, so it'd be the chapel, and it's, the WPA projects also include the columns on the east side of the cemetery, as well as some of the, like the gates, and she could do that as part of the study, and while she's already doing the existing work, and I don't know, I mean, from my perspective, I don't know why we wouldn't let her do that as well, but, I mean, since you had that discussion with her as well, that was your inclination, is that would be something that could possibly be of use?
Most definitely, yeah, I mean, anything to keep money in our pockets.
Yeah.
Get some funding and make things better, sure.
I don't like to see it used as a storage shed either.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree.
And well, we'll get to that cemetery and airport here pretty soon.
All right, well, all right, before we can go there, sure. Parks and Rec, anybody else have anything? I'm sorry, yes?
Mr. Mayor, you started recruiting lifeguards?
I'm not aware that we are currently advertising. Are we advertising?
Usually we do that right after the first.
After the first of the year, we'll begin soon. And do we individually target those we've had before? We reach
email-
out to
yep,
them?
We email
Okay.
every single one of them, and then we also send a thing to the school. And anybody else, if anybody wants to step up, we got applications, come on down.
Well, there has been kind of a non-city organization that's been meeting, possibly connected to the swim team as far as how they can help the city with some of our efforts with the pool.
They talked about coming up with a cleaning group and some other
Yeah.
stuff, so.
I know there's efforts afoot. I don't think they're ready to come and present to us yet, but there's a community upswell of effort to help step forward with some of our needs. And hopefully they will also help with advertising for staff and do some of those things that will help the
Or
community.
they could, it would be great to have some adult lifeguards.
Yes.
It would be wonderful.
That would help us with more opportunities, morning swim, et cetera.
Well, weekends,
Yeah.
anytime.
And it would be good for the younger lifeguards to have some adults around sometimes. So. Okay, so cemetery and airport. Mr. Beichman?
Yes, as we were talking before, I don't feel like we need to use the chapel as a storage shed. And, I think it was a year ago, we were talking about adding on to the shop building out there. If we could just add a little bit extra space for the storage that they're using for the chapel for. That'd make more sense, I think.
Right.
So.
When I started on council, the chapel, I believe the windows were all knocked out, and now they've been boarded, so it's sealed up, but it's not ideal. I agree, it's not necessarily being used for its intended purposes. I think part of the analysis or the report also by Brenda would be the outhouses,
The outhouse, yeah.
because that was part of the same project as well.
They're cool.
They're neat. I don't know how usable or how much we could recover it to be that, but it's definitely kind of a neat thing that's fallow. It's a marquee part of our community and part of the cemetery, so.
Well, I have to say, when I went around, did the tour of the city for being a new council member, when I spoke to who's the head of the cemetery?
Don.
He said they are in the process of trying to get the chapel cleaned out already, so I know he's definitely thinking about it.
And it's structurally in good repair. I
Sure.
mean, other than obviously it needs windows, and the inside's, it's kind of a blank slate.
Was there used to be a house out there?
Sexton's house, right, in the
No.
northwest.
I remember a haunted house when it was 1985. Never liked Halloween after that, Dave.
So how does that impact your willingness to support the,
I support it 100%.
Because they tore it down.
Mr. Mayor, I've had 3 texts from people saying the cameras are on me, not on you.
maybe that's the way we're watching?
We'll sit up here, Wayne.
You should be able to go home.
There's a tutorial for this. I should probably take it just in case.
Yes, you should. But it shows that it's on. I thought it did. Jeez. Okay. Because it should come up with a. Oh, let's do audio. No, not that one. No. It looks like it's right, so I don't get it.
Well, what if,
Yeah, let's keep moving.
all of a sudden, what would change if it wasn't right?
I
It still
don't
show
know.
us
You could
like it is
also-
now.
It should.
So,
I don't know.
Yep.
Duly noted, we will make sure that we correct that for the next meeting.
Okay, anything else on cemetery and airport? I guess I would mention did we get the hangar or the taxiway situation remedied up there as far as the gap that we were going to here? I thought so. I just hadn't been up there to inspect it myself, so. Does the council have anything else on cemetery?
Yeah, ask Don if he has come up with anything else on expansion into the shop. Cause I think he was making up his own plans, wasn't he?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yes,
being
there were
in
a couple different possibilities. At the last meeting, I was on that committee, that was discussed, but I don't know, was that money identified in the budget for the expansion? I believe it was several years ago. But I
I'm
don't-
not sure it's
Doubt
still
that it
there.
is in 2024 because the new tractor is budgeted.
That's what I
So
wondered.
There's a big capital outlay item in there already, but I'll take up the discussion about getting the shed cleaned up and at least see where we're at on the expansion. I have a clue what that might cost, but I do know that they,
Because his first two plans was a separate building, wasn't it? Then we kinda talked to him, why don't you just add on to the east?
They were talking about building an L onto the existing building, yeah. Because you could add several, possibly several bays that way. But, okay. Police and fire. Admin and finance. Okay. Appointments and wage determination. I've made some appointments here. I'm trying to catch up some of our committees, boards, commissions, whatnot. There will probably be more in the next couple agendas, work in progress. The appointments I have here are for the Airport Advisory Commission, Curtis Spicer, the Cemetery Board, Valerie Prell, Debbie Henderson, Shannon Borgman, the Convention and Tourism, April Spicer, Daniel Ackerman, Kelsey Smith, Woody Wallstrom, the Kester Block Advisory Board, Jeff Christ, and Fire Department, Don Ballman is Chief, Joe Pilsel is Deputy Chief, and Assistant Chief Alex Rombeck.
Move to approve mayor's appointments.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. City Attorney, I believe we potentially have need for executive session tonight?
Would like only 5 minutes, litigation, discussion. And I would like the interim city administrator also to participate with some developments in a litigation case.
Okay.
That's all protected under the Open Meetings Act. Meeting with the client to discuss this privileged information. But it will not take very long at all.
5 minutes is plenty.
Right.
Okay.
I move the city council recess into executive session for consultation with an attorney on matters deemed privileged, an attorney-client relationship about litigation or claims against the city, through KSA 75-4319. This meeting will include the mayor, city council, city administrator, and city attorney. The open meeting will resume in the city council chamber at 7:55.
For a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah.
We might need to open that door. Or you guys can't get in there.
That might be important.
Yep. Mike.
Okay.
I have them all, I just wasn't sure. Whatever. We get turn on lights now, got to be able to go. There you go. play with this thing. When I hit home, it should work. Why is it
Yeah,
not
they said it's
working?
not fixed yet, Cindy.
I know it's not fixed.
But the volume's not on, is it?
Yes, it is.
Take care.
Happy New Year, Cindy.
Thank you.
Oh, I'll probably pop in tomorrow.
Okay.
I bet I've got a check.
Oh, I bet you do. Be good if you came to get it. Why in heaven's name is this not? I looked at this thing.
Did you have a nice Christmas?
Yes. Good. Yes. Well, there now. I've turned all that off. It won't work.
Not even gonna make a comment about that.
Fluorescent bulbs.
Okay, we're back in open session. No binding decisions were made. Guess we'll move on to roundtable.
I didn't have anything on the police, but I went out to Walmart the other day, and there was a fire truck and a bunch of police cars, and I thought they were being robbed, and the chief came up to me and said hello and introduced. It was doing that take a kid to work day or
Shop with
whatever
the
it was.
cops.
That scared the life out of me. I'm like, I don't want to go in there. It's like, it was very nice. Had a good Christmas too. I hope everybody else did.
I have nothing.
Chris? Val?
Did they ever find anything any further on the stormwater drain behind Bite Me? Was there any, I saw them digging.
By Nordis?
Yeah, by Nordis, the one that runs off there south.
No, that's been capped off, and
Yeah.
we've requested a proposal from the engineer to do some more exploratory work. We actually got that in on Friday, not in time for the agenda, but that'll be on the next agenda,
Yeah,
so,
I didn't know if they got down to it or found what it was or.
no.
And it's been kind of remediated for danger in the interim, so that way it's not an opening. I know the neighbors had concerns because it's awfully tight there.
Yeah.
I actually do have something. There were some concerns about the light above the basketball court at Dargis Park. Just got word that it should be fixed tonight.
Oh, good.
I had some community members that said it's been out for a while. There were some issues with, I don't know, something, but it'll be fixed tonight.
Good. Only things I had were on the, kind of back to the stormwater thing. I do think it's an important effort for us to identify ways to work to improve a lot of the stormwater issues we have in the community. Just having brought it up at a couple council meetings, I'm surprised how many people have come forward with concerns for stormwater issues that I've been on council a while, and it's never even been on my radar as something that's come up. So I think there's definite need for us to identify ways to fund and tackle some of these problems that, you know, might be flooding basements or might be threatening streets, might be causing other issues in public safety. So I'm glad we're on the right track there. The only other thing I had is I brought it up some time back when I was on council. There's a number of forms. I don't know how many forms we have available for the public to come pick up as far as applications for, you know, zoning approvals or this, that, or the other. I really would like to see a lot of our forms become available on our website. Anything that,
A lot of them are.
that's what I wondered.
When you navigate, like your license for building a lot, your roofs and whatever, all that stuff. Building permits are not available because that takes, okay, how far are you from border, or is it enough? That takes a little more, but most of the other forms, water, apps, and those kinds of things, if they can.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know some people have had difficulty. I don't know that our website's the easiest to navigate sometimes. But if we can work towards identifying any that aren't on there,
Okay.
as well as if there's ones that people know exist, but there's a reason, if we can have that bulleted out on there, I think that would be, I don't know if the council's opinion, but I think that would be useful to people as a place to point them in a direction. It's not always easy for people to get in to get forms and things, so.
Right, and most of the time, if they'll call us, if they're not on there, then we can explain it to them, and then we do email
Yeah,
a lot of them.
Okay.
And we'd be more than happy to do that.
just as much as we can do to make that kind of easier and simpler, and even when we can't explain why we can't, so.
Okay.
Sometimes it's about communication, but that's all I had.
Might wanna, just.
Yes, we do have a special meeting next Tuesday, January 2nd at 5:30 with SGR about the city administrator recruitment efforts, kind of an update there, where we're at in the process.
5:30, you say?
Yeah. And we will not be adjourning the meeting tonight.
Yeah.
We will be recessing it until tomorrow at 5:15 so we can whoever is available can come in and we can finalize bills for 2023. So I would not be looking for a motion to adjourn, but I would be looking for a motion to recess.
I move we recess this meeting up until 5:15 tomorrow evening.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting is recessed.
I don't know what that is, honestly.
Our call about 2 years ago. We had a guy from West Point, and Cooper and some other investment banker, who did some analysis. Rates and finances. He had some great rates, so I might ask Cindy to try to look
I
back.
was literally gonna look up a tutorial.
No, he still does a little work for Blue Rapids.
You were something for us?
Yes.
So great. Easy to
Well,
remember.
we pulled out all the ordinances, or I had them for the